are here. Hello, everyone. I'm so excited. Welcome to the Sovereign Soul and welcome to the Spanglish World Networks on Zingo TV, channel 249, 250, and 251. Take a moment and go download the Zingo TV app on your mobile and TV devices. You can find the Zingo app in your respective app stores, iOS and Android. Be sure you rate us and you leave us a comment while you're over there as well, downloading that free app. Zingo TV is also available on Google Chrome, Amazon Fire, Roku sticks, and all smart TVs 2016 forward. I'm so excited. We're going to welcome our studio or our online studio audience with us today. So excited. As everyone pops in, we get to greet them and say hello. I have the most amazing guest for you all today. We have Mr. Howard Falco, who is a highly regarded spiritual teacher, peak performance coach. He also is serving diverse clientele like athletes, CEOs, and individuals seeking unconventional paths to success. He is the author of 2 incredible books, if I do say so. He has the I Am, The Power of Discovering Who You Really Are, and Time in a Bottle, Mastering the Experience of Life. Howard's journey began with a profound 2002 expansion of consciousness, unveiling some answers to life's fundamental questions. He has since dedicated himself to sharing this wisdom and empowering others to harness their innate creative power. I'm so excited to have you here. I've been waiting for this conversation for weeks. I've been doing my research and my homework. That's what we call like stalking on social media is research. That's why I tell the team we're researching, although what we're really doing is stalking. I have so much to talk to you about today. So thank you so much for joining us on the Sovereign Soul. I appreciate you, your presence, and your time.
It is absolutely my pleasure. What a wonderful introduction. I'm so honored to be here and look forward to sharing with you.
Yes. Okay, so I want to start with this profound experience that took place for you in 2002. Would you mind sharing a little bit about that?
Not at all. I've shared the story many, many times, and it's interesting because every time that I've said it, or my wife's heard it, and when she's heard me speak, she said it's like hearing it for the first time. So I was a very, very curious boy. At 14, I was taken on a camping trip. I grew up in the suburbs of Chicago, and I was taken on a camping trip up to Minnesota near the Canadian border with my aunt, uncle, and my cousin. And when we got there, it was near dark. It was dusk. And we went in and we unpacked, and everybody was tired from the 11-hour car ride, and they went to sleep. And at 14, I wanted to explore. So I went out the cabin door. It was pitch black. I went straight down to the end of the dock, and I just peered at this lake. We had a beautiful rustic cabin on the edge of a lake that was some kind of a movie. And I went to the end of the dock, and I just peered into this incredible darkness. And the first thing that hit me was the sound, the oxymoron, the sound of silence. I've never experienced that before. It was very surreal. And as I looked at this lake, there wasn't a breath of wind. And I started looking into the water, and I saw what looked like lights shining on the surface of the lake. And I saw them in one section, and I saw them in another section. And in an instant, I saw them covering the entire lake. And my brain didn't know what was going on. I didn't know what I was looking at. And then I looked up. And in that instant, my entire life changed. I could not believe what I was looking at in the sky. It was a moonless night. I have never seen that many stars before, and it shook me in the best of ways to my core, where I said, I was speechless. My mouth was open. The breath got sucked out of my lungs instead of sometimes you take a breath in. This was an exhale out. It gives me goosebumps to talk about it. And it started me on this journey of wondering how this canopy is above our head every night, and we don't understand more about ourselves. And that set me on the journey. So to answer your question, I was at a point in my life where I was trying to accumulate all the things that would make one happy. Flash forward 20 years later, I had gone through my life with these questions in the back of my mind, trying to figure out life, connection, universe, what the nature of God is, all of it, what we're doing here. And I was trying to knock off these things on this list that we are nurtured or cultured into believing create happiness. I put myself through school out in Arizona. I fell in love and got married. I got the job I wanted. I had 2 children. We had purchased our first home, just sort of building the American dream. And yet at the same time, I'm feeling unease and it's not getting any better. And I'm wondering why. And then I realized these questions weren't answered. And I thought the last one on my checklist was millions of dollars, and I was in the finance business. And then one day it hit me that I'm working with people that have more money than they're going to spend in their lifetime, and they're miserable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that last answer that I had that might have solved what I was going through was gone.
Yeah.
That's when I was staring into the abyss. At that moment, I was brought to my knees in a state of, if I don't know or understand more about life, God, universe, life, I don't know how I'm going to be able to go on. It was that much fear. So I said, please show me. 2 weeks later, I was in a seminar I read a book on the psychological nature of trading the markets. The guy was very interesting who wrote the book, and he was talking about how you create everything. You decide what you're going to invest in. You decide how much. You decide when you get in. You decide when you get out. You're creating the whole experience, basically.
Right.
Something clicked in me that said, hold it, not just in finance. This is in life. I'm creating the whole experience. Then the second piece hit me, Jacqueline, that really blew me away, which was I realized I put 2 and 2 together on the fact that I'd asked these questions 2 weeks ago, and I saw my reality answering that question right now.
Yes.
It hit me so profoundly. This is how life works. This is what it's doing. When we have an intent and we want to know something, life finds a way to get the insight and the information to us if we're mindful enough to pay attention. And when I realized that, I was in this state of joy, like I just found an open Pandora's box. And so the next few months I'd gone into life every day like, okay, where are my answers coming from today? And I had this state of presence I never knew before. And then to shorten this story up, time started to collapse between my questions and the answers. I'd be in the grocery store, someone would make a comment, I'd hear a song on the radio, I'd see a bumper sticker. It was all lining up. In December of 2002, time fully collapsed. And all of a sudden, from 1 minute to the next, things became known in such a profound way that it created silence in me for weeks. And when I came out of it, I decided to dedicate what I had come to understand about life and how it worked and write I Am.
Yeah.
So that's that's actually the short story. So
I mean, no, it's beautiful. It's incredible. It is honestly, it's not the same for everyone. Their spiritual awakening, their profound spiritual connection when they recognize that there is something more than just what we see with our physical eyes, that there is such a, like you say, profound presence of silence, but it's not silence like we think it or feel it in the human way. It's this everything and anything all in one, experience.
Exactly.
And it is, I've listened to your books. I'm almost through the second one. I started with I Am.
Wow.
And, one of the biggest, one of the areas I wanted to talk to you about today that I know our listeners are I'm drilling this and drilling this and drilling this in all my spaces. But we're just going to drive it home with you. I'm going to make you come in here and I'm going to include you in on this process. But I was walking the dog listening to I Am, and I believe it was chapter 3 where you were talking about the football experience, where you were speaking on the Chicago Bears, the New York Giants, and then the me that doesn't do anything football related, right? And
there's 3 people at a football game. One's a Giants fan, one's a Bears fan, and one doesn't care about football.
That would be me. I don't care about football. Now, listen, my dad is New York Giants fan. I don't know a Chicago Bear fan, and that's okay for this example, but I'm listening and I'm walking the dog, and I am hysterically laughing as I do because you described the New York Giants fan, aka my dad, perfectly. If the Giants have a bad game, it's to hell in a handbasket the rest of the day, the rest of the weekend. God forbid we live with them. I mean, it's just, it's that whole thing. But the matter at hand, as you were speaking in the book, was that you make it mean for you, the Giants fan, a terrible rest of your weekend. You make it mean for you, the Chicago Bears fan, that it was the most amazing experience and the rest of the weekend is just going to be that much better. And for me, the one that's just experiencing a football game going, well, that was cool. Loved the hot dog or the popcorn or whatever I got to have. That was awesome. You know what I mean? Like, we make things matter.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's something that I just I want you to go into a little bit deeper, and I want it to be something that we travel down in 3 different spaces, because I know you can speak to this from the athlete's perspective on the game and the pressures and all of the things that they make matter in their experience. You can do this with us on our own self-development, self-empowerment
Right.
journey. And of course, I want to kind of touch with you because I know you're a dad. You've got 2 kids, correct?
Yeah, they're grown now. We're empty
Yeah.
nesters now. They're
You
27 and 23. But yeah,
so you know
um,
about this in the kid
yeah,
department too.
yeah. So the idea behind the example was to demonstrate that all information in the world is neutral.
Yes.
There is no good or bad. I mean, there. I have to say this carefully because, yes, as human beings, we're here to survive and to love and to share that. So anything that runs counter to that is considered bad. But from a universal perspective, information is neutral. And what it shows you is that based on your values and the way you look at the world, that's how you're going to take the information in. That's how you're going to decide what it means or what it matters, and that's how it's going to determine your emotions and your state of mind. So what it was used to offer was that you truly have the ability to look at information in the world and decide what it's going to mean or how it's going to matter to you. Now, how you do that is the rest of the book and how it goes through that, but at least it demonstrates through that example with someone who cares about the Giants, someone who cares about the Bears, and someone who doesn't care about football, how a last second touchdown, dramatic touchdown, can have 3 dramatically different impacts on people. And so when it comes to athletes, obviously this is important because, just to jump to that paradigm for a minute, for an athlete to be in peak performance, they have to be in what's called the zone, or that place of mindfulness where they're just focused on the process of executing what they're doing. If they get distracted with future projection or past memory, they're going to be out of that moment that requires so much of their attention in a very highly competitive space. So
Mhm.
that's why a lot of the best athletes in the world look like, people say, oh, they're very robotic or they're just very focused, because they're just trying to get into the space where they can react and execute timelessly.
Yes.
That's why it's important there. Jumping to being a parent, it's important for kids, I think, when it comes to socially, when they grow up, in how not to take impact from other people, from other kids, when they, sticks and stones, right? But Nate will break my bones, but names will never hurt me. That's the idea, is that to teach them how to be impervious to being affected by others' negative influence on them, not
Mm.
taking that energy on, having enough strength in who they are so that it doesn't matter to them what anybody else says. That's where I would go from a parenting realm. But it's really an important lesson to understand that you do have control of the inputs, what's coming in, and how you decide to react to it.
Yes, I love that. And when it comes to us on a I would call it self-mastery, our ability to look at the things that are taking place in our world, analyzing it from an emotional space, understanding then the energy that's at play, and really being able to use the information, whether this is us going back and healing something that no longer resonates with us, whether this is taking the information and deeming it amazing, awesome, happy filled, success filled, joy filled, and using it to our advantage. What are some of the things that you find on with your clients, with the people that you support? What are some of the hangups that they have when it comes to really embracing this for themselves?
So this goes back to the heart of identity. The way that we look at who we are is what gives us our feeling that we exist in the world. That identity can be very drama filled and very negative. So when you're asking someone to shift to a positive state, that can be a foreign land to them.
Mhm.
They only know drama and fight and emotion. And that's what's given them their identity in the world. And so they cling to it. So I always start with, what is your intention? What are you looking to create? Then the channel can open up where I can offer them the information that will help them, that they'll allow in and test the waters on joy and
Mhm.
happiness, and not
Mhm.
responding, not being
Mhm.
manipulated by somebody else, and not watching negative news programming 24 hours a day
Yeah.
that feeds that what they believed was true about the world, that has not served them, that's deteriorated and caused problems in their mind, body, and soul. But they have to agree, to emerge into a new identity, to leave the old skin, shed the old skin, and to be truly ready to transform, at least through a statement of that I'm ready, or I am.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
longer I'm becoming.
Yeah.
But that's how you do it, because people cling to what has been comfortable, even though it's created suffering.
Yes. And so when you have, particularly in the, sports industry, you've got college kids. I don't know. I'm going to tell
Lots
you
of them. Yeah.
right here. I'm going to give it to you. Like, if I wasn't the neutral fan going to just a party, you're going to know right here. But you've got, these brand new NFL players, NHL players, MLB, I think is what it's called, players. You've got these brand new players that are just coming from a lifestyle, a certain aspect of normal, and then we throw them into, these brand new experiences, higher pressures, higher stakes, all of this different peer pressure, sort of speak. How do you support them with being able to really embody a new I am statement, embody the vision that they have for themselves? Because is it not something that they struggle with in your world, coming from everything was this way yesterday and now I'm thrusted into this new life, new experience that I know I wanted. I call it the
Well,
void.
that's the key.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not my
They-
past, not my future, but I
right.
have no idea who I am in this moment to get to where I want to go.
Well, the great thing about athletes with this work is that they are driven by being the best. They want to be the best. So going to the next level is what they want. Now, there's an adjustment period where it's nervousness, and their first time at bat in the big leagues for sure is going to be, their physiology is going to change, until it normalizes. But that's what they want. What they do get frustrated with is not so much the bright lights and the next step, is their inability at times. Why can I do so well at this level? Or why, when I get to the next level, I'm tightening up now, things are different. Or why do I do so well in practice, but when it matters in the moment, it's not coming out? And for that, to solve that mystery, we have to dig deep into sense of self-worth
Mhm.
and what they believe they're willing to embrace for their life, how they see who they are. And that goes some layers deeper. That can go to childhood nurturing, that can go to their personal experiences growing up. They may have had a dream of playing in Major League Baseball, and they were comfortable playing college ball, but at the next level, life and divinity has this perfect vetting system. And it's like a pyramid. And that's why it gets to a smaller amount of people the higher you go in the world, because the pyramid goes like this. And that means the tolerances get tighter. How hard you prepare, your mental state, how well you're going to get vetted out for that, your physical state, how much in shape you are, all that gets vetted out. Your speed, your reaction time, your the way, what your father said to you when you were 6 years old is going to matter when all of a sudden you're getting paid millions of dollars versus not. So there's this perfect vetting process, and the ones that make it have made it through that gauntlet.
Yeah.
So it comes down to jumping in and diving deep to see why they cannot see what I call infinite worth for themselves. Because the truth is, I'll just jump to this right away here,
Yes, please.
that every single human being is worthy of
Yes.
whatever they want. Now, they have to be aware of what system they're working through. Like, I'm not playing NBA basketball at my age and my height and my talent level. Like, that is very improbable, almost nil, probably nil. So I have to be there. There are some, like, people say, well, if that's true, then I could go play football, or I can, you know, whatever. These crazy ideas to deter what I'm saying. But in anything you want, relationships, business, peace in your mind and heart, the ability to walk into a room and feel confident and good about yourself, to have positive self-talk all day, and to have favor come into your life because you've lined up with divinity like that, that's available to every human being, every single human being.
Yes. And I love that we used sports. Those that follow me know we like to do this often. Spirit does this with us all the time. You know, let's go in the sports realm, but let's show you how it actually can be applied, no matter what area of life you're talking about. Because many people that I work with privately, they're on this spiritual, expansive path. They want to connect to their psychic abilities, to deepen their intuition. They want to know their ability to heal, because my belief is that we all possess these abilities. And so when I get to that level, and then, you know, Spirit brings me this next bout of comfort zone stretching, how do I do this? You know, we're so excited for these visions that we have for our future. And we think when we get on the stage, we're going to be able to knock it out. I thought starting in this TV experience would be a breeze. This could be no problem. Man, the jitters. You know what I mean? And so it's like, no matter where you are, profession wise, personal growth and development wise, on your spiritual path, the universe is always going to, God, as they say, will never give you more than you can handle. And what that means is you've got to be able to handle in the energy more of whatever is lined up on your path for you to be able to step into, experience, receive.
Yep. So, yep, our ego is designed to protect us from the unknown, because the unknown, if you're not a true pioneer in your mind, and many people are, but if you're not one of those people, then the unknown can be filled by the ego with fear. And so it's designed to protect us from those moments that we don't know or haven't been familiar. Riding a bike, driving a car, kissing a girl or boy, first job interview, you know, stepping up to another level in sports. All these new experiences make our heart race, and we're nervous because we haven't done them before and we don't know what's going to happen.
Yes.
This is where the whole key is in faith.
Define that for me.
The ability to go into the unknown with the idea that whatever becomes known will be good for you and your journey.
I love that. We're going to quote you on that when we do our after party stuff. I love that. That's so powerful. I love that. Yeah.
But that's trust in life. That's trust in God. That's trust in divinity, that it has your back. And, you know, when you look up at the stars, and, you know, I don't know if anybody's into a little bit of the science of it, you know, the James T. Webb telescope and how it's bringing back these pictures.
They're gorgeous. Unbelievable.
They're stunning.
Don't get me started.
Stuff.
That's another episode.
But what it's right, but that's a whole nother section. But what it's revealing is the infinity of it all.
Yes.
And then we're here. So how do you not trust?
Yes.
That you're here right now in this beautiful experience right here at this moment. You know, I'm certainly grateful for it. That helps with faith to know, you know, you look back also, Jacqueline, at everything you've gone through in your life when you were fearful or didn't know how you were going to get through it. Yet here we are right now together, right? So that's great reflection for faith. Hey, I remember 10 times in my life where I was like, how am I going to get through this? And yet here we are. That is a testament to the unconditional love of the universe to keep providing you with whatever it is that, you know, you maybe not what you want, but what you need to get you to the next step.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In my book, Becoming a Journey to Discovering Inner Peace, I talk about how the universe is full of itself. It is utterly full of itself. And it's full of love. And that's all that exists in that vibration, that frequency. And what we're here to do is continue to expand the universe. There is no end. They have not found that because we continue to learn and we continue to grow and we continue as souls to come back and do it again and again and again. Why? I don't know. That would be a great answer. That's your fourth book, because I know you're working on your third. But why the hell would a soul decide after getting here to do this again? But we do, crazy us, so that we can continue to expand not just the energy of love in that consciousness, but our ability to witness ourselves move through these difficult situations. And the beautiful thing, which I also want to talk to you about, is that power of manifestation, the power that we have as souls, as energetic expressions of the divine, to come forth and have this experience. Remember what my power is. My personal power is my ability to choose. I get to choose if this is where I feed energy. I get to choose if this is which way I go, but to create what I'm in need of in this moment that's going to lighten the path, create something in expansion. In the book, you talk about everything being self-fulfilling. Everything is self-fulfilling. If I don't know where else on my body, I would probably that I just stopped and sat back and went, everything is self-fulfilling. Yes, 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 and more yes to this.
Yeah, and we have to clarify that, because that's a big statement.
It
Much
is a
later,
big statement.
in the book, though, towards the
Yes,
end, right? So
it
there's a
is.
lot of
Go
context
ahead.
before you embrace that
I
one.
jump ahead. They all know
Right.
this.
Okay. So that's what shows how important self-awareness is, because if you don't know what you're doing, what you're self-fulfilling,
Mhm.
you're going to be in confusion. And it's not anybody's fault. There's a lot of inertia at play in your identity over generations, but becoming self-aware and mindful of how you were nurtured, what you thought, what beliefs you adopted when you were younger, and the silent one, which I'm writing a lot about in my next book, is genetics, and how previous generations imbued in you a certain tendencies, positive ones and negative ones.
Mhm.
But the key to just understanding that piece of it is that at least you can become aware of when you have a behavior that comes out of you that you go, where did that come from?
Yeah.
Like, but now you know. So just you'll be more mindful of it and more aware, so that you can take this way down the road next time you're faced with that, instead of this way. But that's what conscious change is about, and really conscious creation is about.
Mhm.
But we have this nurturing that brought us in, so everything becomes self-fulfilling out of our identity and who we feel that we are. Now, this can be very difficult when we look around the world. So I want to be very careful and very empathetic to
Yes.
what's going on around the world, because
100%.
there's some horrible things, and some horrible things that people have been born into, and situations and circumstances that then activate those genetic tendencies that have been there for generations.
Mhm.
And that's why I think conscious awareness is really what's going to change the world, conscious evolution, because we have to understand how we created it consciously in order to change it.
Absolutely.
Again, it's a subject for another discussion, but I just want to make sure I said that. So self-fulfilling means that the way you think and perceive is creating what you're magnetizing in, because life has to meet you there. It's not just your actions that create, but that's the co-creation with divinity, because divinity says, if that's who you say you are, I am, okay, here you go. And here's the suffering as a result of that, that you might humble yourself and ask for insight and receive a greater truth that helps you and your salvation out of that.
Mhm.
So, um, so that's how it can happen, negatively or positive, and that's why divinity doesn't judge us on who we say we are. It only delivers the experience.
Yep. Yep. And vibration and frequency plays a big part in that as well.
Yeah, it becomes our vibration, our frequency, and then we match with those individuals. Yes.
Yes, 100%. And so
Yeah.
that self-awareness, that self-empowerment, that depth of being inquisitive within self. Where am I in relation to this desire that I have? Where am I in relation to the things that are taking place in my world? Stepping back and taking a beat on where I am in my world and being able to, um, I want to say self-regulate, but I don't know that that's what I'm hearing. That's not what I don't know that that's where I want to go.
Choose
Being able, yes, to choose and really
what
being
serves you
exactly,
now.
to navigate that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, a practice or a tool technique that I would encourage people to use would be journaling, to really get an understanding, to be able to ask the self those questions. I'm sure like you, my mom, or like me, your mind wanders and goes a million places a million times a day with our schedules and our kids and what life demands of us. And so when we're wanting to be very conscious and deliberate with the way that we're showing up, with the way we are manifesting things, journaling is one of these really great tools that help us recognize where we are, get inquisitive about why we're there or what we desire, and being able to shift, to see the things we need to heal, to be able to shift those things.
Yeah.
What are some of the things, tools, tips, techniques that you would lend when it comes to, this area, and really being more mindful or having more of that self-awareness when you're wanting to move into it and heal?
So the dream boards and the journals are excellent,
Yeah.
but they are rendered useless without a belief in your sense of self-worth.
100%.
So a lot of people go through the motions, but they don't do the inner work to find out where the misguided understandings are, where any belief, I have a statement that I often make when I speak, and it's this one. If any thought that creates suffering, self-indignation, or self-loathing is a lie or stems from a lie. Any thought that creates fear stems from a lie. So it starts people on this process of inquisitive process of asking themselves, okay, why do I believe that? Why don't I see more of my worth? Well, I just never believed it. My parents, abandoned me when I was young, and the first two relationships I got into ended without them even talking to, stuff like that,
Yeah.
the ego takes and then says, well, this is who we are based on that. But it's never been true. It was an interpretation based on the experience that you had. But the truth is always there's so much more for you. But it has to start inside before it starts outside, right? So that's where the faith piece comes in. So once that work is done, Jacqueline, then you can take out the journal and say, this is who I am now. This is who I want to be. This is what I want in my life. Because you can't see things for yourself that you don't even believe are possible for you. You can see them as existing in the world, but you might not connect them to you.
Mm.
You have to be able to see that you are capable of that kind of passionate love. You are capable of that kind of income or achieving that, depending on what your road is to get there and what you're
Right.
willing. So I would say that, self-inquiry is the first part to get to a state where you raise up your ability to love who you are. Then absolutely writing down I am statements or intentions of what you want to achieve. That was one of the coolest things I ever did when I was 21. I just out of college. I read a book that talked about writing down what you want for your life in 6 months, a year, 5 years, 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. And I spent like 3 hours one time in my apartment writing everything down. And it was 3.5, 4 pages of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
In my late 30s, I stumbled over a box in the garage and found the list and started reading it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I freaked out.
Check, check, check,
Check. I mean, when I was writing, and I remember one thing that the exercise said to do is when you're writing something down and your mind starts to judge you, like, oh, you can't do that, or that's not, don't listen to that voice.
Mm-hmm.
Big and as magical as you want it to be. So now this is a practice I do every year. But when I looked at that list, I could not. I remember thinking, I have no money. I'm just out of college. I'm in student loan debt. How in the heck is this ever going to happen? And to the testament to the power of life, I mean, I wasn't dating, the girl I married. None of that at the time.
Mhm, mhm, mhm.
So it was crazy. So
Yeah.
that's a great exercise.
Yeah, and I love that. I have journals from years and years and years ago, and reading some of the places that I have been, self-reflection is really, really, really big. It's very powerful, especially when we are in those moments of disbelief and we're lacking faith. How can I believe in the invisible? When you look back to what you thought was invisible then, that's now here.
Right.
And
Exactly.
being able to really look at how far you've come and how
Right.
far the divine has brought you. Divine timing is one of those things I sign up for, not liking sometimes because you want what you want when you want it. But that
That's
divine
exactly
timing,
right.
you can go back
So
and see,
funny. Yeah.
you can go back and
Yeah.
see. Had that not happened, that wouldn't have taken place.
Yeah.
This wouldn't have come to fruition. And it's beautiful. And that, I think, is another way. It's another real powerful reason why I say journaling is so important, even when you don't realize in the moment why. As you move, in life, and as you come up against these new things you think you'll never get through, being able to look back at that stuff and going, wow, I wanted that, I dreamed that, I have this and so much more. That's very powerful.
Right. It's a testament to how powerful we are when we've opened up that full creative channel. So the work is in how do you open up, how do you clear the pipe? How do you open up that channel so that, divinity flows through you, creation flows through you. You're in the flow of life, the zone of life, and you're patient for that, as you say, that divine timing. Because one thing I've learned in working with so many top athletes in the world,
Yeah.
championships, and just seeing how it works at the very top level in all these sports,
Mhm.
I can say unequivocally there are no shortcuts.
No. So which member of my team talked to you about that patience word? They know I hate it. Which one? I just wanna know who it
Nobody.
is. Patient of that
Well,
that
we're
that state
kindred
of
souls there. You and I, we're kindred souls.
patient.
Yeah,
What?
exactly. Right.
No.
Right.
Yeah, no, and I can imagine, that, it's but as you build that pyramid that you spoke about, and as you get to the top, of your career, be it, in sports or in the spiritual expansion department, in the teacher department, the speaker, wherever.
Relationships, whatever, anything. Yeah.
As you get to that top, it really does become less and less about even desiring the shortcuts because you see the value in the journey.
Mm, well said.
We see the value in the journey. And, I had a mentor once. I have big dreams and aspirations for myself. This was one of those things. I desire to be on stages in front of people. I'm a hugger, and it's something I'm still, getting used to saying, asking for permission instead of just grabbing people. But I love being in
Great.
people's energy in person. I love it. And so this is a big, huge dream of mine, big stages, sold out spaces. And she said to me, your ambition is what's really screwing you up, your ambition. And I would sit there and go, "What are you talking about? Ambition's, like, incredible. Ambition's what you want, is it right? No?" And a few and like you, asking these questions, "What's wrong?" I thought this was the right thing to want, to do, to be, to have. And I was on my way home from a retreat I held in August in Sedona, Arizona, and I had a
My
Michael Beckwith,
backyard.
yeah, a Michael Beckwith thing going on, and, he talked about ambition. He said ambition comes from, I'm gonna screw this up, um, ambidextrous, when you can move the body in 2 different ways, to go 2 different ways.
Ambidextrous. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you for helping. And
That's fine.
so, how we are wanting this future, but we're moving in fear, and how we're going in 2 different
So
directions.
yeah, I'd love to comment on that because
Yes, please.
this is a key thing with athletes and with individuals and with myself that I've done a lot of work on, and in terms of writing, and actually, again, a big part of this next piece of work. Desire, ambition, want,
Mhm.
goals are all wonderful. It's part of the human experience. Without, desire, what is the human experience? That's what helps us move towards things.
Right.
It's when the needle crosses over to need that we get into trouble.
Mhm. Amen. Amen.
Because what the universe and divinity is trying to tell us every day is truly all has been provided and you need
Mhm.
nothing. Now, the question then becomes, okay, I don't need it, I want it, then your energy is in a much better space to be open to the pieces and the conditions that you didn't see before that needed to be put in place in order to help manifest what you want. But when you're in need, you're blind to those things. And so that can really help.
Yeah, 100%. I mirror that completely. And I also want to add, for me personally, what I've noticed and been doing a lot of my own inner work around is that need also triggering like a fight or flight type of survival, because we think that this is on the line if this doesn't come through. This has to happen for this, and this. And it can be, again, the ego is really sneaky way. The higher you go on your pyramid, the more tricky the ego can get with this false evidence that appears real, right? The illusion of it all. And it really can do a number, not just on our energy, but our physical body as well.
Yeah, it's the trap of expectation.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
it's tricky because the ego wants to know
Mhm.
something so that it doesn't have to live in that space of unknown. And nothing gets created without faith. And
Yes.
that requires stepping into the unknown and trusting. And the more that you can do that in your everyday life, it's just, I'm smiling because you get blown away by the magic that
Yeah.
flows. It's stunning in its majesty.
Yes, it
Stunning.
is. It is. It is. It is. And I feel like I'm on my own session here with you. I feel like this you're calling me out. You're making me feel all the feels. I'm like, yes. How do we do this? Okay, tell me more. I'm signed, sold, take my money. But it is. It's. I mean, I think that, and all of our audience members as well can chime in on this. I think that this is the real thesis for life. This is the real reason why we're here. This is the game, so to speak, and how we become aware of how we play it, how we become aware of the things that we are doing to trip ourselves up, doing to prevent ourselves from moving forward, because it doesn't ever go away. It doesn't ever go away. This is going to be something that we just, and it's not, self mastery doesn't mean we master this. Self mastery is we begin to become aware of this and we start, taking more time for our own reflection, taking more time for our own self care, taking more, ownership of our mindset and our ability to recognize what we are as a creator, as a force of the universe here on
Yeah.
earth.
Yeah. I would call that, I mean, I have called it, it's in the title, the subtitle of the new book, but that's what true mindfulness really is.
Yes.
True mindfulness.
True mindfulness. Yeah. So you've got this. I'm going to let the people joining us live that are chiming in. Kayla says, so needed to hear this today. You and me both, girl. Like I showed up to interview and I'm sitting here just receiving. But yes, this is so good. This is so good. The first thing I asked a new partner of any kind is if they understand the difference between want and need. The first thing she asks a new partner, Jerry says, yes, it's important. It's important. It's so good. If you have questions for Howard, make sure you're commenting here because I'm sure we can put him on the spot. I mean,
Anything. I'm literally two open books. So
yes, 100%. But speaking of books, I would love to know if you can give us a little bit more around the one you're completing currently or
yes,
done.
sure. Yeah. So the first book I wrote was I Am, which is behind me, Mastering
Mhm.
the Power of Discovering Who You Really Are, and then Time in a Bottle. I Am is total self-awareness and self-understanding, A to Z,
Yeah.
and how you create.
Yeah.
Time in a Bottle is how time plays a role in the creation process. And after putting those two out, a lot of people came back and said, I've highlighted, underlined, I've gone through the books many, many, many times. Like they're by my side. So I decided to create the third one as a step-by-step guide for the supreme state of mind.
Mm.
So basically, it's 9 steps. The subtitle is The Secrets of Self-Mastery, Next Level Mindfulness, and the Path to Inevitable Success, however you determine it. And the title is, drumroll, Invincible.
Ooh, I like that. I felt in my
So
toes. I like that. I love it.
So I'm trying to meet the people where they are, where they want. Show me the steps. Like,
Yeah.
even though the work is in the reflection and the contemplation in those two pieces of work, I'm going to take 20 years of work and condense it into 9 steps and give the formula that's worked for so many people in achieving so much over the last 20 years, from relationship to sport to
Yeah,
peace, spirituality.
absolutely.
So I'm excited to put this out there. Very
Yeah.
excited.
When is it coming out? When are you launching this?
So I'm writing it as we speak. I'm actually going to go into a writing hole for the rest of the day after this, but it'll be out at the end of the first quarter.
Okay, no pressure, but you've got like a whole bunch of people we need to like now keep. Is there like a someplace to go so that we can do the wait list? Like, how do I?
Yeah, yes. Oh, I'm glad you asked that. So on my website, howardfalco.com, there's a box to sign up to be notified when the book is coming out. And I'm also going to do some Zooms prior to the book coming out to share some of the information and just sort of let people know and sort of grease the wheel for everybody on what's coming.
Oh
Uh,
my goodness,
Go to
absolutely.
howardfalco.com for that.
Yeah, so everyone needs to hurry up and get over there. howardfalco.com. You heard the man. Make sure that you get yourself all linked up. And you're on Instagram. I know that. We found you on
Yes,
Instagram. Are you on
yes.
Facebook as well?
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I feel like LinkedIn was more of a business format, but yeah. So I'm on those platforms. Just started on Threads. So yeah, any of those platforms, I put inspiration out daily. I share a little personal stuff every once in a while on some of those, but it's going to be more and more about this work.
I can't wait. I
And
cannot wait.
thank you so much, and thank you so much for allowing me to express this and have this conversation, and for what you do every day, because the world, this is a world that mental health is a big, big, big problem.
Yeah.
The last 5 to 7 years, and
Yeah.
I just want to help contribute to
100%.
that.
So, no pressure, and not to put you on the spot, but to put you on the spot. Once this is out, will you come back on the show and
I
talk more
will,
about it with us?
of
Oh my
course, you're
god.
wonderful.
Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, I'm so excited. Like I said, this has been in my bones for the past few weeks.
Mm.
So excited to have you on. Yeah, it's been amazing. Make sure you are following him on all of those platforms. Make sure you're signing up to get the book, the other books as well. I mean, I think Jerry said I've already ordered both his books. I'm ready to go. Like she's ready to go. She's serious about this. She just ordered Mr. Falco's 2 books and so excited to get them in. She says, yes. She gets the gold star for today. Oh my goodness. So good. All right,
Thank you.
friends. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah.
Cannot wait to see you all in the next episode where we welcome Matt and Lauren Greiner to the show. This show can also be heard on Spanglish Radio Network. So make sure you go over to spanglishworld.ca for all the news and programming. Spanglish World, love it, watch it, hear it, read it, download it, and live it. Until next time, friends. Bye. Thank you.